I'm now a subscriber myself. I really love the service. At Happy Hour, he actually has a couple great stories of failure. At Happy Hour, you will have to ask him about his wonderful IPO, almost, not IPO, acquisition that almost happened. But that is not the story that he's sharing today. Today, you told me a great story about some mistakes you made and lessons you learned when you were starting to market Backblaze. Many piles of money that were many lessons, and how you eventually kind of identified your market and the path that took. And hopefully you guys don't have to spend tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars to find your market if you listen to Gleb. AV guys, Sean, I didn't tell you this. This is the talk that has the video that you have on your laptop. So when Gleb tells you if you could turn it on, that'd be great. I'm so disorganized after that break. Sorry, everybody. This is your clicker. I welcome to the stage Gleb Budman of Backblaze.
Thank you. Hi there. So, for starters, this is actually a little odd for me up here. About 3 years ago, I was standing here also with a bunch of people looking at me, but it was to get married. I think you guys right there are roughly where we had our first dance. So a little odd. Today, though, I'll talk to you about why having even $1 million for marketing is not going to make it all better. In 2007, we started our online backup company, Backblaze, and we shipped product. Customers loved it. We grew to millions of revenue. We did 4 billion restores. Things were going good. And we bootstrapped the whole way. And we even went profitable. A year ago, we decided to raise funding. Now, why we took funding after being profitable, probably a topic for another day. But we decided to take $1 million of that 5 and put it into marketing. And we tried lots of things with that $1 million. And I was very excited by this. I mean, you know, we put blood, sweat, and servers into our startup for 5+ years with a $0 marketing budget. So all of a sudden having $1 million to grow, I was like, woohoo, this is going to be great. And we tried everything. I mean, we tried Google AdWords, SEM, SEO, PR, Facebook ads, retargeting, remarketing, newsletters, blog. And in the process, we learned a lot. But we had 3 big fails while doing this. So I'll share them with you now. We started with an idea. The idea was, we're an internet company. Everybody in the world should use us. We offer this service. It works on every laptop. There are 2 billion internet-connected computers around the world. Everybody should use it on all those. And for $5 a month, it should be a no-brainer. Pretty much anyone can afford it. So we said, we'll market to everybody. And we did lots of things to try to get out to market to everybody. One example was AdSense. So for those of you guys who don't know what AdSense is, it's a Google ad network which allows you to advertise on lots of other websites. So we did one experiment here where we had 37 million impressions around the world advertising Backblaze. And when we did that, we're like, 37 million people might have just seen an ad for us. This is great. And what was even better was the ads cost us 8/100ths of a penny per impression to have people see them. So we're like, yeah, this is awesome. We'll spend $1 million on AdSense, and then it'll be huge. Unfortunately, that was fail number 1. You'll remember there were 3. So what we were hoping to see was a beautiful marketing funnel that looked kind of like this. Right? And instead, what we saw was a marketing funnel that kind of looked like this. Very, very, very few buys came out of that funnel. And what we realized was that while we could get lots of impressions very inexpensively, because they were so diffuse, none of these people had heard about us in all the other ways that we would think of. So most of these people had never had a friend who'd used the service. They hadn't read an article about the service. They hadn't read one of our blog posts. They had no context for us. So yeah, they saw an ad flicker by and then it was gone. And they didn't do anything. At best, they would click on it and go, I've still never heard of these guys. I'm not going to trust them with my data. And they were gone. So what we realized was that the world is not our customer, even though we're an internet company, and so by default we tend to think of, well, you know, we're not a restaurant, it's not like the local neighborhood, everybody should use it. No, we really needed to pick a niche to focus on. Okay, so we figured, hey, we're not stupid, we learn. We picked a niche. We said, let's target moms. You laugh, but this seemed like a great idea. So why moms? They take lots of pictures. Those pictures are digital. They end up on their computer. They tell us that they would die if those pictures vaporized. And they don't want to spend a lot of time dealing with complicated technology. They just want it to work. And Backblaze was all about being easy. Like, this will be perfect. We'll target moms. So one experiment that we did was we tried to use PR to reach a lot of mom-focused journals. So we had this article in Parenting magazine, and it was awesome. Safeguard your assets with Backblaze. I'm like, great headline. If you read the article, it's all positive and says nice things about our company. We even incented people with it by giving away a nice little iPad mini just to get them to engage. We're like, this is going to be great. Yeah, fail number 2. So the reason that this was fail number 2 was we realized there was this subtle nuance that we didn't hear. Moms didn't say they would die if the pictures were lost. What they said was they were going to kill someone if their pictures were lost. And that someone was their husband. We just didn't quite catch that. So what happened was we were doing all of this outreach to all of these moms saying, hey, you should make sure that you use Backblaze to back up your data. And they were like, what? Like, it just wasn't on their radar screen. They had a divided responsibilities. You're going to be handling this stuff. I'm going to be handling this stuff. And so promoting to them and advertising to them, it just didn't work. So that was fail number 2, was picking the wrong niche. Okay, we had a third idea. We had an existing user base that used the service for the 5 years before this. And since we had this totally unlimited online backup service and we spent 0 on marketing it, the people who had signed up for the service were ones who inherently understood the value of what we were providing. So who are those people? Photographers, videographers, DJs, musicians, web designers, all the people who had just boatloads of data, and they were like, $5 a month for unlimited? Sure, sign me up. You know, I'll hand you guys all that data. Which was fine, except that we lose money on them. Or at least, you know, we're minimally profitable on them. We need averages, right? So we said, we're not going to spend marketing money to try to find wedding photographers who are going to store 3 terabytes of data with us. We're going to try to find people who are kind of normal customers. By the way, if anybody is a photographer or videographer, you're still welcome to use our service. We love you. We're just not necessarily going to pay to find you. So one way that we thought about getting normal users was local events. And by local events, I don't mean this kind of event where it's all techies. I mean local events like small business fairs, art festivals, We even did a wine tasting. I mean, local. And trying to just find normal people who have 10 gigabytes of data, 20 gigabytes of data, something very just average. If you've been following along, you can guess this is fail number 3, which was picking a niche that was not based on our existing users. And the deal here was that we were looking for normal users, but who's normal? Like, what does that actually mean? How do you target normal? Does anybody raise their hand and say, "Hi, I'm abnormal. Can you target me?" So normal meant we were in this very amorphous, like everybody bucket, and it was really hard to find who are the normal users that want our service and who are the normal users that don't want our service, and how do we just target the normal ones that do? So we had walked away from all of the people that had told us with their actions and their wallets that they wanted our service to go chase kind of this amorphous normal. So that was our fail number 3. So I want to play this video, which is about 30 seconds long, where we tried to do all 3 of these things in one giant experiment.
Finally, you've come back home from your spa trip and you're hard at work, and by hard at work, I mean you're posting your photos on Facebook. All right. And then, all of a sudden, your dumb boss comes over and accidentally spills your Mai Tai all over your computer. Oh, no. So you lose all your photos, right? Not to worry, there's a great online service called Backblaze. It automatically backs up all your movies, pictures, and music right onto the cloud. It's only $5 a month, and you can access it right from your phone or iPad. But what's that? You say, Ellen, I don't have a device. Well, that's a bummer. But thanks to Backblaze, you're all getting an iPod mini.
Somebody just asked if everyone here is getting one. So we had this great opportunity to be on the Ellen DeGeneres show, and we're like, wow, this is awesome. And it hit on all of these 3 things for us, right? It was like, wow, you mean we can go after normal users, and a lot of them are moms. And they don't have the crazy, insane amounts of data of some of our photographer and videographer customers. Like, this is great. And for that matter, we raised funding. So the whole idea is we need to go big. So this was an opportunity to do that. And when we were looking at some of the numbers, Ellen has 6 million people that watch her TV show across the country and across parts of the world. She has over 10 million Facebook fans and 10 million Twitter followers. I mean, we're like, this is amazing. So we sign up for this and we start getting ready. And we're talking in the office, how many customers do you think are going to show up when this goes live? 5,000, 10,000? So some of the people in the office are like, what happens if 50,000 people show up tomorrow? Like, are the servers going to melt? And so a few of us fly down to watch the filming. The next day we come back when it's going to air, and it rolls out across the country and across the world at various points in time. So at 8 a.m., it rolls out in some geographies. At 9 a.m., it rolls out in some geographies. And 10 a.m., it rolls out in other geographies. We're watching it roll out across the country. And then it goes up on her YouTube channel, which has hundreds of thousands of followers. Then she posts it on Facebook, and we're like, woohoo! So this was us, by the way, in our office. And then it was kind of quiet, and it was kind of crickets. And in total, about 500 people signed up. Now, I mean, I'll take 500 people any day, but this was not this massive thing that we thought it might be. And we're like, what happened? You know, did the TVs go out across the country or something? Didn't everybody see it? And the thing was, yes, 6 million people saw it. But which 6 million? And what we realized was it hit upon all three of our fails in one beautiful combination. It was diffuse. Most of these people hadn't necessarily heard about us. They were typically not the decision makers in the household, and they weren't people that were based on similar demographics to the ones that had already shown us that they wanted our service. So this wasn't quite successful. So when we kind of stepped back and thought about it, and we're like, okay, based on all these experiments that we've done, including this one, what's the realization that we can take away from this? And what we said was, you know, we've been focusing really broad in various ways, but if we simply signed up the people in the tiny little microcosm of the San Francisco Bay Area, and signed up all the people just here, we'd be generating $500 million a year in revenue. And we'd be wildly more successful than any company in our space. San Francisco Bay Area is a pretty small place by comparison to the rest of the world. So it's not that we should focus on the San Francisco Bay Area. That's not necessarily the right niche for us. But what we did take away was that being an internet company does not mean you have to get the whole world. Yes, Facebook, in order to double in size, needs to go after the whole world. For most internet companies, getting a few big cities is wild success. So the next question for us was, well, that's great. Who do we go after? Which niches do we pick? I mean, we tried picking one. We picked moms. That was a fail. How do we pick the right ones? So we did three things. The first thing we did was we just sat down and brainstormed. And with 5 years of doing this, we had some sense of who our existing customers were and who might like the service and who has liked the service, what they've told us. And this is chicken scratch. Some people say my writing is encrypted. I think it's perfectly readable, no? But it's basically, this is a very, very simple format for brainstorming who those users might be. And I actually got this page out of the Mint Marketing Handbook from Noah Kagan. It just asks, who are your users, or who are they potentially? What are their needs? And why does your product solve them uniquely? So it just helps think through that process. And if we had thought about that before picking our niches, we may have changed them slightly. So we did that, and then the second thing we did was we asked them. We sent a survey out to our customers and said, who are you? So we asked them, not questions like, are you 25 to 34 years old? Because, yeah, that's a data point, but it's not, it's very limited in terms of what it actually tells you. We asked them things like, what is your profession? What are your hobbies? What are your interests? What do you like to do? Just questions to try to get inside the heads of those people who've already come and signed up for our service. And then we dug into Google Analytics. And you guys probably all have Google Analytics set up for your companies. What are the things that we actually looked at? So we looked at, one, where are people coming from? What country, state, city are they coming from? We also looked at which sites are they coming from. And by sites, the things that we were interested in, what are the topics? What kinds of things are people interested in that they then end up coming to our site for? We also looked at technology. Are they on Mac? Are they on PC? Are they on mobile? Are they on big screens? Are they on small screens? You know, what are they using? And very importantly, we didn't look at visitors. We looked at who actually signed up. Because we would have these things in Google Analytics where it's like, yay, we got a bazillion visitors from this place. and none of them bought. So why would we go after those kind of users? So combining these three ways to figure out what these niches should be, we discovered three. One, software developers. We have lots of them. They like the service. They understand the value of it. Okay. Two, Mac users. We found that people post on us about us on Mac sites. They convert better when they show up. We have a crazy high percentage of Mac users to PC users, despite the fact that Mac is a small percentage of the market. So that one also kind of made sense to us. Both of those did. The third one for us was weird. Yeah, that was kind of our reaction. Huh? So genealogist is definitely not an audience that we tend to think about in the Bay Area. And I'm not saying this is a right audience for you and your startup. But in our startup, it had some interesting correlations. These are people who understand the value of data. They understand data gets lost, which is why they're doing what they're doing. They're recreating data that has gotten lost. They're reasonably technical. They're technical enough to use a computer to find data and organize it. And they're probably already paying for a service to help them manage their data, like Ancestry.com or Family Tree Maker or something. So they actually were a really natural fit for us as a niche. So the nice thing when you have some of these niches is that when you're in a startup, you've a million different ways of marketing your company. And when you have a marketing budget, another million people come out of the woodwork and say, hi, let me help you spend that marketing budget. And the question is, how do you decide which of these to do? So by having some niches to focus on, it makes it easier to say, that's not a fit, that's not a fit, that's not a fit. These three things are a fit. If you can help me market these, you're going to get my time, my focus, my money. So again, if you are faced with our scenario of having a reasonable sized marketing budget or not, the three fails that we did to avoid: one, assuming the world is your customer and not picking a niche. Two, taking a random ass guess and picking the wrong niche. Or three, ignoring your existing user base as a place to look for the right niche. So if I leave you with one thing, when you go out and market, find your niches for your specific company, ignoring what people do for theirs, and then double down on that. Thank you very much.
Hi. I have two questions, but quick. How much did it cost for the marketing? For the iPad thing, and how many responses did you have with the survey?
So the two questions were: how much did we spend on the Ellen DeGeneres marketing giveaway, and how many responses did we get to the survey? So the Ellen DeGeneres giveaway, we had to give away 400 iPad minis. Now, we got an astoundingly good deal from Apple. I mean, they are amazingly happy to discount the product when you buy 400. We got 2% off. So ballpark was 150 grand. It was a lot. The other question was the survey responses. So I don't remember the exact number for that one survey, but I want to say we got something like 30,000 responses to our survey. So it was data. It was, you know, a lot of times I feel like you can, if you ask 100 people and you get, if you get 100 responses, that'll tell you a lot. I think we had enough to get a reasonable sense. Was there one more question? Yeah, so the question was our experiment with AdSense and whether it worked after we figured out our niches. A little bit. So frankly, AdSense as a channel has not been something that we've thought worked great. We've advertised in other places, like when we've wanted to find Mac customers, we've advertised on Mac sites directly, and that's worked better for us. So your mileage may vary, but AdSense we haven't had the best luck with regardless. But we did enough experiments going broad, AdSense only being one, that it gave us a good sense that simply not picking a niche and going to everybody was a failed strategy, not just a failed channel. Thank you, guys.